Welcome to Hilary Emmanuel Ministries, where faith meets power, purity and prosperity, and breakthroughs are born. At Diadem, we equip you with bold prayers, life-transforming teachings, and spiritual strategies to overcome every challenge life throws your way. Join us as we dive into God's Word, experience His presence like never before, and walk in His purpose for our lives. If you're in London, we invite you to fellowship with us in person at Diadem, 4 Pegamoy Road, N18 2NG. Don't forget to subscribe now and let's grow in faith together.
Brother, we have some prayers to pray here today. We have some battles to deal with. There are some things we are going to do here today, and the Lord Himself will surely fight for us. I want you to understand the message first of all. I want you to listen so that the Lord can minister unto you. And with such understanding, we go into the prayers. We are almost getting accustomed to warfare. We are almost getting accustomed to battles. We are almost getting accustomed to wars. But brethren, do you know that God did not send us into this world to come and fight battles? Do you know that? Do you know we have a real divine destiny that we ought to focus on and be fulfilling? We have a primary purpose for which God sent us into this world. And now we find ourselves here, and enemies occupy us with wars every day. And we are almost finishing more than half of the length of our life here on earth fighting wars and battles. It's not supposed to be like that. And that's why we are looking at what I call the wars that rob the destiny. Because these things, if care not taken, if we don't know what to do, you discover that these things can take away the destiny itself. And it's actually a strategy of the enemies. They want to occupy glorious destinies, beautiful destinies, powerful destinies that have something very significant to do here on earth. They want to occupy them with wars and battles so that they will not be able to achieve the real thing they came for. Look at the scripture with me in 1 Kings chapter 5. I will try to be as quick as possible so that we can find time to do the real prayers. 1 Kings chapter 5, look at verse 3. 1 Kings chapter 5 verse 3. He said, "Thou knowest how that David my father," this was Solomon. Solomon was telling us something. Solomon was speaking to people. And look at what Solomon said. He said, "You know David my father. You know he could not build an house unto the name of the Lord his God." Do you see that? Solomon said, my father David, one thing he desired most all his life was to build a house for his God. He said, but do you know that David, my father, couldn't build that house for his God? Why? Look at the reason there. He said, because of the wars, for the wars, which were what? Which were about him on every side. On every side. Brethren, these wars surrounded David on every side, even inside his own house, in his father's house, in everywhere he turned, in the land, among strangers and foreigners. The wars surrounded him in every side. And Solomon said, do you know the consequence of those wars? David wasn't lazy. David fought all those battles. He overcame all of them. But the major thing was that those wars, brethren, they robbed him of the most important thing in his life. There was nothing else David desired more in life than to build the house of God. That was all he just wanted to do. But the wars were too much. The enemies were too many. They occupied him from childhood until he died. All his life, he spent it fighting enemies. He spent it fighting enemies. Look at what Solomon said further. See, the Lord put them under the sole of his feet, verse 4. He said, but now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil current. He said, my case is not like the case of my father David. The Lord has given me peace everywhere. Verse 5. And behold, I purpose to build an house unto the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord spake unto David my father, saying, Thy son whom I will set up in thy throne, in thy room, he shall build an house unto my name. So you now see that Solomon identified this. Look at how David himself put it by himself. 1 Chronicles 22. When David started that war, when he found himself in the midst of that battle at a very young age, by accident, if you like, you say by providence, he found himself in the center of that battle. He didn't know that he had started a battle of life that will last to the end of his life. He thought it was just one event that will happen, let's fight it and go home. And that was how it all started. 1 Chronicles 22, look at verse 7. And David said to Solomon, my son, this was what David, you know how parents will call their children and talk to them. Important things. He said, my son, he said, as for me, it was in my mind. He said, the thing that occupied my heart all my life, it was in my mind to build an house unto the name of the Lord my God. Listen, David had a relationship with Jehovah. A relationship that was sealed with a covenant. David loved the Almighty God. And all he wanted to do was to create a space where God has chosen to build a house where people can come and worship his God for him. That was all he wanted in life. And that was the greatest thing he desired most in life. But brethren, do you know, the Bible said that he couldn't do it. Why? Because of the wars that surrounded him. The wars occupied him day and night. He fought it from January to December, all the days of life till he died. Brethren, we are learning this thing because we are into warfare. Because we are also fighting different battles. We are also surrounded by different kinds of wars. And so we want to cry out to heaven that, Lord, don't allow these wars to take away the most important thing in my life. Look at what he said. He said, David said to Solomon, my son, as for me, it is in my heart to build a house for the Lord my God. Verse 8. He said, but the word of the Lord came to me, saying, thou hast shed blood abundantly. Do you see that? Did David stand up and say, all I want to do is to be shedding blood? No. David didn't choose the battles. It's the wars that chose him. The wars looked for him. The battles picked him. So you now see the Lord say, you have shed too much blood and has made great wars. Do you see one satanic replacement? Those great wars now became a replacement for the real thing David wanted to achieve in life. Became an exchange for the most important thing in the life of David. He said, you have fought great wars. And brethren, we also have fought great wars. In this place, we have fought great wars. Thou shalt not build an house unto my name, because thou hast shed much blood upon the earth in my sight. Behold, a son shall be born to thee, who shall be a man of rest, and I will give him rest from all his enemies round about, for his name shall be Solomon, and him I will give peace and quietness unto Israel in his days. He shall build an house for my name, and he shall be my son, and I will be his father, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever over Israel forever. Now, my son, the Lord be with thee, and prosper thou. So David started to tell Solomon, say, look, this is the journey of my life. Now, those battles were the primary thing David wanted to achieve in life. Remember, these same battles we are talking about, they robbed him of his childhood. All other things children will do while growing up, all the experiences of David didn't have all those experiences. All the experiences he had was how to behead people. Is that not how we are growing up here also? All the people that started, since when we started maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago from Chile possibly, 13 years ago, that were young boys, are they not men now? And what have they been doing all this while? Beheading people. Is that what they came to this world to do? You see how these things can occupy somebody's destiny. And if we are not careful, if we don't know how to cry to God and say, no, this battle cannot last all my life. This battle must come to an end. I have a destiny to fulfill. I have a purpose here on earth. The battle has overlasted. Lord, bring it to an end now. You see, so these things occupied David. And look at what happened. It wasn't that David had no money to build the house. He was rich. He had all the resources. Look at how he put it himself. Look at how he put it in verse 14. In verse 14, he said, now behold, in my trouble, he said, do you know, my son Solomon, that even in the midst of the battle I was fighting, In all my troubles, I have prepared for the house of the Lord 100,000 talents of gold. It's just like that time somebody to tell you that he has prepared around 100,000 pounds. He said, I have prepared all the money needed for the house, even in the midst of that trouble. And 1,000 talents of silver. Do you know 1,000? 1 million. A million. You see the kind of preparation. So the money was there. The resources was there for him to build that house. He said, I've prepared 1 million and a brass of iron without weight, for it is in abundance. Timber also and the stones have I prepared. And thou mayest, if you like, add anything you want to add to it. Verse 15. Moreover, there are workmen within abundance. He said, if it is handiwork, you have the workmen. You have them in hewers of workers of stone, the timber, and all manners of cunning men for every manner of work. So everything was in place for David to achieve this. But you know the wars, they robbed him of it. He said, therefore, he said, verse 16, of the gold, the silver, the brass, the iron, there is no number. Arise therefore and be with thee. David also commanded all the princes and all the whole people, said they should support Solomon. He told them to help the son to be able to achieve that. So you now see that these battles we are talking about, these wars we are talking about, to start with, we didn't know they were there. We were just born and we were just living our lives. And then we find ourselves in that. And then God started to minister to us the way he has been doing. And we now discover what surrounded us. Do you know that the Philistines have been existing before David was born? Do you know the Philistines have been existing even before Abraham got to that place? The Philistines have been there. So the enemies have always been there. And then you suddenly find yourself now in a situation where you cannot run away anymore. Where you just have to fight. You just have to fight. Look at how it all started, brethren. Look at how it all started. And look at what David said in 1 Samuel chapter 17. 1 Samuel 17. Look at verse 1. He said, now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle. And they was gathered together at Sokoh, which belonged to Judah, and pitched between Sokoh and Zazek. Now David was from Judah. The enemy surrounded them. It was the Philistines that gathered together. Now he said that you fight or you be killed. Did we attack the enemy, brethren? Is it not the enemy that surrounded our destinies? And then we have no option left without than to fight. There was no any other option left than for us to fight for our lives, to fight for our destinies. So the Philistines came and surrounded Judah, and David was in Judah, together with his family. So verse 2, and Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley Elah, and set the army in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side. And there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. David didn't know that such people existed before. David didn't know. He was just a young boy. He didn't know that there was such a level of human beings. And he now find himself by chance, by accident, by destiny, face to face with such enemy. Brethren, since when we're born and we're growing up in life, we didn't know that there are some terrible creatures in our foundations. We didn't know the kind of things in our foundations. Till the Lord, maybe by chance, we found out and we saw dreams and God revealed them to us what is going on around us. We can't run away, because running away is death. So we just have to stand and fight. And that was exactly what David did. So the Bible described the nature of the enemy, the kind of enemy. Look at verse 8. Look at verse 8. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and ye servants of Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me and kill me, then will be your servant. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servant. Do you see now? Enemies are looking for who to enslave. So it's either you fight. Now, with this kind of challenge, if Israel says, we are not even fighting, we are going home, automatically by this challenge, they have become servants. And the Philistines will carry them and they become slaves. So there's no any other room left for them to fight. Verse 10. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. I insult the armies of Israel. started to mess them up. Say, I defy the army. I humiliate them today. Give me a man that we may fight together. Verse 11, then Saul and all Israel had those words of the Philistines, and they were what? Dismayed and greatly. Aha. So when that kind of situation arises, no person can confront the enemy in your foundation. No person has ever challenged the enemy before in your foundation. You are the first person that will come up and say, what kind of insult is this? What kind of a thing is this? Verse 16. And the moment the Philistines saw the reaction of Israel, that all of them were afraid. Look at what they did. And the Philistines drew near. He came near. You know, that's how the enemies behave. If they discover you're afraid, they will keep coming near, keep harassing you. He came nearer morning and evening. You know, when the enemies want to really misbehave, when they discover that they are in control, if you put your head like this just to doze away in the afternoon, you will see dreams. Have you seen it before? In the afternoon, not that you are sleeping, put your head on the chair like this, you see, and the enemies will come. In the morning and in the afternoon, the night, they will come. So that's exactly what this was. He drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. And nobody could challenge him. Nobody could say a word. Brethren, listen. Do you know there are families on earth? Do you know there are foundations on earth where no human being, not that they don't have Christians, so they have born again people, but no human being has ever stood up there to challenge darkness, to challenge Satan, to challenge witchcraft, to challenge the idols that are sitting upon that family. Nobody has ever done it before. Look at what verse 24. Look at what followed. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, what did they do? They fled. So you now see, if you were David and you saw this kind of a thing repeat right before your eyes, will you be able to go home? Will you be able to sleep again? This was what David saw. That the whole army, from King Saul to his own brothers also, all of them, they fled and were so afraid. Verse 25, and the men of Israel said, have you seen this man come up? They are reporting to a small boy. They are reporting to David. These are soldiers. So they said, do you see the man that came up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up, and it shall be that the man who killed him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spoke to the men that stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man that killed this Philistine, and take away the reproach, the shame, the shame. Brethren, this is what dragged us into the whole battle. Is the humiliation of the enemies, the shame, the reproach. So David said, is this how this country has degenerated? Israel, that we hear their name, that it has become like this? That this kind of one human being can come out and be humiliating the whole nation for 40 days. Verse 28. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and he said, why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride. Brethren, people will interpret it to be anything. I've had persons that told somebody, he said, leave Satan alone so that Satan will leave you alone. Did we look for his trouble before? Did we go to touch him before? Is he not the one looking for our trouble? So you now see Eliab here, how he's behaving. He said, I know the pride. They can interpret it to be anything. They can interpret it. Some people will even tell you it's just the imagination of your heart. Brother, is it the imagination? From your personal experience, is it personal imagination? This is not imagination. This is real. So he said, I know the pride of your heart, his own interpretation. And the naughtiness of thy heart. He says naughtiness. Meanwhile, him that is not proud, that is not naughty, when the Goliath come, he will pick race. For thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. Look at the answer of David, verse 29. And David said, what have I now done? Is there not a cause? And brethren, that cause that David saw, that cause lasted him to the end of his life. Is there not a reason why we are fighting? That reason lasted till David became 70 years old. This time we are talking about, he was in his teenagers, maybe 13 years or 12 or 14. That thing continued until 70-year-old. That thing made David, the only thing David just wanted to was to build a house for God. That thing robbed David of that privilege. Took that privilege away from him. That David couldn't build that house. So you can see the cost here. He says, is there not a cost? We can call it arrogance, like Eliab was doing here. We can call it inquisitiveness. He just wanted to come to the battlefront and see what happens there. We can call it destiny. You can call it anything, depending on how you look at it. But David found himself in the middle of a war that will last till the end of his life. I don't know, brethren, how you yourself got into your own war. I don't know how you got into the center of the war, the one you are fighting now. But I know that the wars found me. The wars found me. There was no any other option left for me than to fight for my life. No any other option left. I wanted to have a quiet life, a very peaceable life, just stay on my own quietly, do my own thing, and just be going quiet. No person will even know that I'm existing anywhere. That's the kind of life I loved. Serve my God, quietly and peacefully. But the wars will not allow me. They will not. And I have no any other option than to fight it. But you will think that, well, if you fight war, the war should stop at the time, isn't it? We should not continue all through the whole life. But David's enemies and David's wars, they refused to finish. Brethren, do you know the war David started, this one we are seeing here as a small boy, that when he was old, maybe in his 60s before he died, and he still went to that same war against the Philistines, the younger brother of this same Goliath still came out and nearly killed him. The same family still producing the same creatures of enemy against the same David. This is a war now that have lasted over 50 years in his life. Over 50 years. Do you now understand why David had to kill so many people on earth? And that was what the Lord was referring to. He said, you have shed much blood abundantly upon the earth. He had no option. For example, if he didn't kill that Goliath, the Goliath would have killed them. And as the Philistines were coming, if he didn't kill them, they will kill him. So he had no option than to fight. But the painful part of it was that they took away from him the thing he desired most in life. They robbed his destiny, his aspirations to build the house of God. The battles of life, they took that away from him. They took away from him everything he desperately desired to achieve, the mark he wanted to live on earth here. All this all they are saying, Temple of Solomon, Temple of, it will have been Temple of David. And there's nothing more that will have fulfilled the destiny of David more than that. To say that he is the, when you talk about the city of David, when you talk about Zion, the Jerusalem, and you now talk about the temple of David, that's all he wanted in life. But these wars, they didn't allow him. 1 Chronicles 13. Because I want to show you how much David desired to build the house of God. That's all he has been laboring for. You remember when he was very young and Samuel came and anointed him. You remember then that when the Philistines they snatched the Ark of the Covenant from the sons of Eli. That ark stayed on the way. Throughout the reign of King Saul, that ark did not come back. For 40 years, that ark was away. So no person was worshiping God. There was no place to go and worship God then. So that was the condition of the land. Look at 1 Chronicles 13. Look at verse 2. When David now became the king, and David said unto all the congregation of Israel, if it seem good unto you, and that it be of the Lord our God, let us send abroad unto our brethren everywhere that are left in all the land of Israel, and with them also to the priests and Levites which are in the cities and suburbs, that they may gather themselves unto us, and let us bring again the ark of our God to us. Do you see what David just wanted to do in life? It's just to serve God. Just to build a house for God. Just to be in the presence of God. That's all. To sing and worship God. That's all David wanted to do in life. So you can see, he said, let's look for a way to bring the ark of God to us. Verse 4, and all the congregation said that they would do so, for the thing was right in the eyes of all the people. So David gathered all Israel together from Sheol of Egypt, even unto the entering of Hamath, to bring the ark of God from Kajajarim. And David went up, and all Israel, and so they did everything, and they carried the ark. The first time they carried the ark, because it has been long, over 40 years. They have even forgotten the laws. They've forgotten what to do. And they went and built a new cart to carry the ark, and then the thing shook. Uzzah touched it, and God killed Uzzah straight away. And David became afraid, and they left the ark in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. They left the ark there for 3 months, and God blessed Obed-Edom. 1 Chronicles 15. Look at verse 1. And David made his house in the city of David, and prepared a place for the ark of God, and pitched for it a tent. Do you see? All his life, this is what he has just labored for. This is what he desired for. This is what he just wanted to accomplish. Even then, he has not prepared to build a real temple. He built a tent. He prepared a house, a place where they will put the ark of God. Verse 2, then David said, none ought to carry the ark of God but the Levites. Now they've now read the law. They now know the right way to do it. He said, we have to do it properly now. The Levites, the sons of Aaron, have to carry it now. And David gathered them together. They prepared everything the way it should be. Verse 25. So David and the elders of Israel and the captains over 1,000 went to bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of the house of Obed-Edom with joy. And it came to pass, when God helped the Levites that bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord, that they offered 7 bullocks and 7 rams. And David was clothed with a robe of fine linen, and all the Levites that bear the ark, and the singer, and Jonathan, and the master of the song with the singer. This is the kind of life David wants to live. This is the kind of life in the presence of God. Worship God in the beauty of his holiness. Be happy before his God. That's all. All those one of wearing camouflage, wearing all those military uniform, carrying sword, that is not the life he wants to live. Now, David had upon him ephod linen, verse 28. Thus, all Israel brought up the ark of the covenant of the Lord with shouting, with sound of the cornet, and with trumpet, and with cymbals, making a noise with psalteries and harps and so on. So you can see, they brought the ark. Finally, the ark returned to Jerusalem. 1 Chronicles 16. Look at verse 1. 1 Chronicles 16. So they brought the ark of God and set it in the midst of the tent that David had pitched for it. And they offered burnt sacrifice, peace offering before God. And when David had made an end of offering the burnt offering and the peace offering, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord. From this point, he wanted to go on to build the real temple, to build a befitting structure for his God. But these enemies, these walls that surrounded him from his childhood, they robbed him of that privilege. Because David had a personal relationship, a covenant with his God. He just wanted to live and serve that God. He just wanted to please that God and ultimately build him a temple. That was his dream. That was his desire. That was all he wanted in life. But all the wars that occupied him all his life even denied him. They didn't allow him the thing that is most important in his life to manifest. Brethren, I believe you have a purpose here on earth. I believe there are things you want to do for your God. There are things you want to accomplish for Jehovah. You want to leave some mark. You want to have some impact upon this earth. Impact on the kingdom of God. But all these wars every day, all these battles every day, they are gradually and they are stealing things. They are stealing time. They are stealing zeal. They are stealing the fire in the heart. They are stealing so many things that are not allowing us to focus and concentrate and achieve those things for our God. But we are going to cry unto God today. Our case will be different. Our destiny will not fail. We will not fail in the things we want to do for our God. We shall surely accomplish all of them. We shall surely succeed. Let's stand up on our feet and begin to talk to the Lord and say, my God and my Father, you sent me to this world with a destiny. Oh God, my Father, you sent me to this world with a destiny, with a destiny, with a clear destiny, with a defined destiny. You sent me to this world with a purpose, Lord. There are things I'm supposed to accomplish. There are things I'm supposed to achieve, Lord, my God and my Father. But behold, the battles of life, the wars that surround me on every side, they are threatening me, Lord, to kill my destiny.
Thank you for watching. If this message blessed you, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to join our growing community of faith. You've just listened to the sermon, but there are powerful prayers that follow. Due to social media rules and guidelines, the prayers have been removed from this video. However, you can access the full prayers and more life-changing resources by visiting www.pastorhillary.org or downloading our app, Diadem Media. If you're in the London area, we'd love to have you fellowship with us in person at 4 Pegamoid Road, N18 2NG. If you have any questions about this message, want counseling from Pastor Hillary, or wish to share your testimonies following the prayers, please leave a comment below and someone from our team will get in touch. Until next time, may God bless you abundantly and guide you in all your ways. Stay victorious.